produced a show for Synergize called Between Two Hugs. And this was kind of a unique production. We only did one episode on it. Unfortunately, we kind of hope that we can pick it back up and do more. But the whole concept behind this was wanting to take an unconventional take to a video podcast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I call these talk shows because most podcasts are video now. So how do we separate them? We're talking about podcasts. Most people say podcast. You think audio. Some people think video only or both. So I call it a talk show. But the biggest difference was I wanted to do something different than what we're doing now. It's microphones in our face. This is typical. People are used to seeing this. So this, I wanted to create something. Well, first I guess I'll point out what inspired me was the shop. I think it's called, what is it? Undisputed. The shop. It's a podcast talk show. I think it's, I don't know exactly what it's about. I've only watched a few episodes, but I love the look of it. Everything looked real commercial. It's it's shot so well. And I wanted to do something like that. So we put this together with Aaron, who owns Synergize, which Aaron's a great guy. He's a good hugger.
Shout out, Aaron.
Yeah. Hugs are like his thing if you don't know him. So
that's why it's called Between Two Hugs.
Yes, he came with a name, his perfect name. If you know Aaron, it's just, of course, Between Two Hugs. So yeah, I don't know if you want to start off with how we put this all together. Aaron, this episode is we'll link it somewhere and you can watch it. But Aaron picked the topic. I just wanted to do the production on this. This was something I just wanted to do on that. So he picked the topic, found the guests. Josh helped shoot this too, which Josh we mentioned before. Josh Bennett, shout out to you. I don't know where we want to start on this. We want to start with the day on.
Yeah, let's just organically run through the day.
So first of all, there's so much went wrong with this, and I think it's always funny when so much went wrong, and it turned out to be something really cool. It's actually one of my favorite things we've ever done. I love the look of it. It turned out. It's one of those things that would turn out pretty close to what you had in your head, which I feel like doesn't happen often the closer you get to that. But
there was a lot that was working against us.
Yeah.
On this
So
too.
First off, the day we lost the location. The location changed. And on the production side of this, a lot of my gear was picked out for the location we originally chose. And there was supposed to be...
Yeah, because we had scouted the original location. And we had gone there. We had planned the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it fell through like that day.
Yeah, because we were going to do a dolly setup. We had with this kind of setup, like I said, the microphones not being in our face provides its own challenges. Because now, what are we doing? Lavs? I don't like the sound of lavs. I mean, I think lavs are okay, but I wanted to go. This is a talk show. Audio is very important, so I didn't want to cheap out on the audio. So. I wanted to go booms. So we had, I think we lost someone that day. I'm trying to remember. I think there were supposed to be 4 or 5 people.
Oh yeah, there were supposed
I
to be
think,
more people.
I know we were prepped to do up to 6, but I think it was like 4 that day, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. But so we had a lot of booms and boom mics and boom stands. And the challenge with those with multicam angles is like with a shoot like this is where is all that going to be positioned and how far out? And there's a 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to go into detail on that. With audio, we don't want mic bleeding with the mics pointing at each other. So that's a challenge too. With mics in front of our faces, it's easier to get that rejection from people talking. When you're talking, you're less likely to be picked up on my mic. If I put a boom pointing somewhere out there toward me, it's going to pick you up too when you're talking. So those were some challenge. You have to be very precise on how you're going to place the microphones and placement on that. So yeah, when the location changed, that kind of threw a lot out the window on my strategic planning on how the production was going to be set up. But Aaron, as resourceful as he is, he was like, I'll just make a couple. We thought they was going to get canceled on the drive.
Yeah.
He's like,
this is also, it's an hour away from us too.
Yes, we were on the way.
We were already on our
up.
way, and Aaron had texted you or called you.
He called me.
Yeah.
Because the guy that he knew that was giving us the location to film went on vacation, but forgot to leave the keys or something. So we couldn't get in the building. So I was like, okay, do we reschedule? And he's like, no, let me make a couple calls. And I was about to call it at that point. I was like,
it was like within 10 minutes. He called us back. He was like, yeah, okay, so go to this location.
Yeah,
like
he pulled in this area.
It's the design center.
The
I
design
think.
center, yeah. He knew somebody there. I don't know, but he got us in there, and we had access to a lot of different rooms and the whole location there.
Yeah.
Um,
It was like the whole second. Like there's
Yeah.
multiple businesses and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, and we were able to access literally anything we wanted.
Anything we wanted, yeah. So, and one of the things with these kind of setups is too, some people call it like a round table setup. I didn't want to do those. Too many people do round table setups, and in my opinion, it's too easy. I'm not saying they're easy; they can be difficult, but round table is just, it's too many people have done it. I wanted to do something a little different. I try to think of the hardest way to do something because I know somebody went anytime I think, nah, I'll just do a round table, it's easier. Then I know that's not what I should do. Let's go the hard way. So originally the first location was a couch, some armchairs. It was like a little, I don't know how to explain that location. It was like a bar with a living room.
Yeah.
It was a living room type setup. You had a couch, you had an end table, armchairs.
So
that's what we were prepped for.
It was an event space, so it had like a bar and like a conversational area and stuff.
Had antique cars in there too.
Yeah.
So it so the chairs I just pulled up, and we are gonna put a table between them, but there was something I didn't want to. I don't know, the table. It kind of gives people like the rest of their arms there. I think when people are sitting back more relaxed, you're more expressive with your hands, and we've seen that here for sure.
Oh, definitely.
And I think there's something about it feels like just a couple of dudes just hanging out. You're just sitting there, you're just chilling in a chair. It kind of feels like strangers that were in a waiting room and they just had a long, deep conversation. So I know when it's a round table thing, it feels produced. I'm not saying like the location looks like a waiting room at all or anything, but
no. But while we were setting up, they all went out for coffee too.
Yeah.
So they came back. They had coffee cups. So like they all naturally had
the
something.
The schedule was thrown way off, obviously, because we were whole different. But yeah. What else went wrong on that? So because of the time, the schedule was off. I was trying to decide if I was going to put 3 booms on all of them, on everyone. I did bring lavs as backup. I was all for this project from the beginning. So I love everybody's backups because I'm not done a multicam shoot with multi booms like this in an organic scenario, because it is it's a conversational podcast. So that was. So the time to set up all the stands and booms and position them all, I was worried about that. I didn't want to keep them waiting. Like you said, they went out and got coffee. They came back, and I was still putting things up. So me and Josh were, and you were helping. So
thanks.
No, it wasn't just me. It was not just me, but I was trying to figure out what to do with the audio.
To be fair, I was mostly organizing. You guys were bringing stuff up, and I was just organizing.
That's a lot, especially for me, because like I'm just rushing to get stuff in. I'm thinking I'm always. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for organizing. I'm doing it now with my thoughts. So I put up the Sennheiser MKH50, which is a really nice microphone, and you can see it in the behind the scenes here. It was one mic. It has more of it's not an omnidirectional. Its pickup pattern is wider than some of the other booms that I had and that I was going to use. So I chose to put that one up and kind of position it in the middle where they would all be talking into. But like I said, I had lavs on everybody's backup too. But in the end, that was the mic I ended up using on everybody's. Well, everybody but Aaron. If you listen to it, it was a lot of mixing. There was a lot of work and post on this. The mic that was between the other two, which I forget their names, but Aaron's the one on the right. The other two, the mic is what's picking them up. And it was a lot of post-processing to pick them up on that. But I wanted to do individual mics on each one originally because I like to EQ everybody differently, because everybody's got a different voice. Everybody sounds different. Some people talk quieter, some talk louder. So I like to have them all on different tracks. So I was not happy with the audio setup when we were there. In the end, I was really happy with it. And then on Aaron, since he was the furthest, I did put him on my higher end lav that I owned, which was the Deity Lav Pro. That one's meant to go under clothes. All the mics are hidden too. Obviously, I didn't want to see mics. I wasn't about to slap an ugly lav on them. So I just can't stand seeing lav mics. So they're all laved. You can't tell. It's not that hard. I wish people would hide them, but so it takes you out of it. It just feels like I wanted to lean away from a YouTube video on that.
Yeah. Hiding lavs is an easy solution to make your video look a lot
There's
higher end.
it does. I mean, there's a lot of technique to that, and you
Well,
got to think of
yeah.
wardrobe. There's different materials you can use. I could talk a lot about that, but
Yeah.
also when you're going underclothes, the type of mic you use. Again, the deity lav is meant to be hidden, so it's a lot brighter on the high end, so it's meant to be muffled.
Mm.
So I'm sure anybody's tried to do this. You hear the microphone under the shirt, or like it muffles it. So like you're talking, it sounds like you're talking under a blanket. So then you got to EQ and try to bring those high ends back. On the Lav Pro, it's kind of already preset to be hidden on that end. It doesn't have a lot of low end on that because it knows it's going to get a lot of low end under the clothes. So it held up, and I think I did a pretty good job at getting that to match the boom over them. So anyways, all that said, there was supposed to be individual booms on each person on that because we brought it's 6 boom poles in there and 6 stands, and the set ended up being very minimal on that. Yeah, the audio setup was the most important thing to figure out with this.
Yeah. So the day of, when we finally arrived at this location, first of all, it was winter. It was cold. It was like raining, snowy mix of things, but there was a lot going on at this building that we showed up to. So there was like a trolley, and there was like a Santa workshop in the parking lot. So like it was very
I
busy.
forgot about that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. But when we were the last ones to get there, Aaron was out with the other 2 guests. And so Aaron showed up to kind of meet with us, make sure we were all good, could get into the space and everything. And Josh was already there before us. And so we were trying to call Josh to figure out where he was, and we were also trying to contact Aaron to figure out where he was. Turns out they were together and they didn't know each other at the time. So like they were both in the same space at the same time, had no idea that they were actually looking for each other or who they were or anything. So that was just kind of a funny, we all ended up on the same elevator together, and it was just a funny scenario. But yeah. So actually getting our gear in the space was a pain too. So
Yeah.
we had there was like a receptionist that was working there, and she saw us going back and forth and where we were parked, and she was like, "Do you guys I have a cart. Do you want to help?" And that was so helpful.
It was.
In
I
this
thought we were gonna break
case,
the
like,
cart though. So that's something I do want to point out. We have carts
yeah.
for our production gear, but we don't have a proper production van yet. So the cart helps, but the cart takes up space. So we end up having too much stuff to fit the cart, and it just means more trips.
It was
I guess
was a trade-off.
It is a trade-off. And again, like I said, if it's hard, then that's the way to go. So
it turns out the receptionist had a cart, and she let us borrow it.
And I actually learned
that
it was not a production cart; it was a little wagon, and those little wagons fold up way more compact.
Yeah.
So I bought one,
and now
that's my main cart. Yeah, it works way better. I could fit like 6 C stands in it, and it was like $100 on Amazon, and you can spend $1,000 on a giant production. Yeah, I mean they're not the same, but they did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm gonna move on to the camera stuff. The camera setup on this was.
Go for it.
That was another challenge. Is if you watch this, you'd probably guess we had like 6 cameras on it. We had, how many do we have? 4? 3
or 4. I think 4. I think we had
4. 4, because I know Josh brought, what did he shoot this on? What did he have? I don't remember what he brought. I don't remember because they're all mismatching cameras because I remember editing this and coloring all this, which this was probably one of my proudest pieces I colored. I really liked how it turned out, but matching all different cameras. I think the A7 IV and the FX6 were the closest, but I know there's a Black Magic in there somewhere. He had the 7200, and I put him on the monopod for this because in the shoot like this, I thought we have 7200 and somebody bouncing around the whole time, try to catch who's talking, catch reactions, and it would feel like we had more cameras in there, and it definitely did. And Josh did an amazing job. I remember being just so happy coming back and putting this together and seeing what he got. It was so cool. It really feels like it felt like we had way more cameras than what we did there on that.
I know the behind the scenes on this actually looks pretty funny because I was mostly doing behind the scenes, and it looks funny because I am behind the camera for the behind the scenes. So it looks like it's just you and Josh. There is so much gear spread out that we've ended up not even using.
No.
So like, there's so much gear in the behind the scenes, and then the set itself looks crazy. It's basically a hallway that we were
Mhm.
filming in. And so the set itself looks crazy. And then to have just you and Josh, but there's 4 cameras around, like it does look insane in the behind the scenes that
Yeah. I
this is
mean,
what it turned out to
I think
be.
it's a little what's the word? Lackluster.
Yeah.
But, 'cause we had 3 lights. We had 3 lights in there.
Yeah.
You could see we did use one of the other bigger parts to makes a shoot like this challenging is the wide angles and lighting. Wide angles are the hardest to light.
Yeah.
So we used it was a Cupo Junior stand and just a lantern over it because that was
Yeah.
like it was about all that was the only thing I had to really get over them on that. But you need to go up high and way out. So the wides don't look like we lit it, but we did, and this would not look the way it did without that lantern there. But then
Yeah.
Josh, he threw one of his lights up, and on that warm light that's kicking on people's shoulders, you can see in there. That made a huge difference in edging them out. And we had another one on the other side doing the same thing. But
Yeah. I guess when I said the behind the scenes was insane, I meant insane in the fact that, like, it looks deceiving. Like, the set looks somewhat minimal for the space that we were
yeah,
in, but there was so much gear just lying around
yeah,
in the background. So, like, it
yeah, it's
just
around the corner.
yeah, it looks very deceiving,
Yeah,
the
because we
set, yeah.
we were prepped for a lot more,
Yeah,
but it all worked out. And
it did, yeah.
um, I think it looks different. It definitely stands out more than a podcast would.
For
And
sure,
this
yeah.
is if you listen to it, it can go on a podcast format too. So you have the audio only too. You can listen to it. The visuals, it's more interesting. It's not as boring. I think you can also something like this, depending on what the podcast is about, you can take the whole as you would like a narrative film. You can think about the type of gear, the lenses, the location, the color grade, and take all that into account when you shoot something as simple as a podcast. And I think this could work for a business. I think it'd be
Oh,
something really
definitely.
cool. You want to stand out and do some kind of testimonials with your customers or internal conversations in your business. I mean, it's a lot to it, but
Yeah.
it's something unique, and I'm glad we did it. I'd like to do more of them.